Hello everyone, this is Pravalika Chilkumurthy from Cale University, CSE second year. I'm a peer mentor. So I'm here to explain some topics to you. So let me explain those topics to you by opening my PPT. Let me slide share this. Yeah. So pattern matching using Scala. These are the contents that I have introduced in my video. These are the contents saying introduction to myself, about Scala, why we need to learn Scala, advantages and disadvantages, pattern matching, code for pattern matching, conclusion. And pattern matching is my topic. Uh, and later on, this is introduction to myself. As I told you before, I am Pravalika Chilkumurthy from Cale University second year. I am a peer mentor for the subject of functional and concurrency programming. So today I'm here to explain you about one of the most important topic, that is pattern matching in functional programming. So for pattern matching, you should have an idea, basic idea about what is functional programming, and secondly, what is Scala, because I'm explaining the code for pattern matching in Scala language. You should have an idea about what is Scala and why we need to use it, and later on pattern matching, the concept of pattern matching. So before we go into further details, let me explain about this functional programming and then Scala and then pattern matching. Okay. So yeah, let me go through this. So this is functional programming. So what is functional programming and all I'm having here? So generally we have two kinds of languages. The first one is object-oriented programming language and second one is functional programming language. So object-oriented programming language examples are like Java and C Hash. Whereas for functional programming we have different languages like Python and Java 8. So, what are the main difference between object-oriented programming language and functional programming language? In object-oriented programming language, objects are the primary first-class citizens, but in functional-oriented programming languages, function is the first priority, first-class citizen. Okay, because as the name suggests, in object-oriented programming language, the first priority will be the objects, but not for the functions. And in the in the functional programming languages, the first priority will be for functions, but not for the objects. Okay, and later on about let me explain about some of the characteristics of functional programming. So this is a method that mainly focuses on results but not on the process. So functional programming mainly focuses on the results but not on the object, but not on the process. And later on, data is immutable. What is immutable? For example, if I have created a list saying some a equals to 10, 20, 30 with values, and later on I want to change one value, like I want to change 20 value to some 45. Then if I write another line saying a of 1, which is actually the index value for 20, equals to some 45, then it shows an error. Okay, I hope you got it. So this is because of the immutability that is present in functional programming language. Okay, and later on this mainly functional programming is built on the concepts of mathematical functions, and later on some of the conditional expressions and recursion topics. Conditional expressions is nothing but if and else and all, and mathematical expressions, functional programming uses a lot of mathematical concepts and all. And recursions plays very important role for in functional programming. And later on about Scala. Now, as I told you before, for pattern matching, you actually need to expertise in three different topics. Like first of all, as we learned before, functional programming language, and now the second one is Scala. So why Scala? For pattern matching, I'm explaining the code in Scala, so you need to learn Scala. So what is Scala first of all? Scala is a functional programming language. Okay, Scala is a functional programming language that is actually introduced by Martin Odersky. Okay, and Scala mainly focuses on scalability. Its main goal is about scalability. So, what is scalability? Scalability is nothing but it is an important feature in that we are providing to the program to scale itself. For example, if you take an Hello World program in Java. we need to write almost 6 lines of code for hello world program in Java. Like for the first line we are defining our class, second line we are defining our main method, and third line we have to write system.out.println of hello world, and in meanwhile we have to keep some braces and all. So it almost take like 5 to 6 lines, but in Scala it actually takes around 3 to 4 lines for 3 lines, exactly of 3 lines for printing an hello world program. So this is called scalability, like reducing the number of lines in the code and minimizing our logic and all. This is all about the scalability. So Scala mainly focuses on scalability, and later on as we all know that we are leading a life with the machines having octa core, like we are having 8 cores inside our PCs and all. So whatever the code that we are writing, or whatever the programs that we are, I mean, whatever we are performing, the actions that we are performing on our PC, the our PC should be able to use all its code, all its availability, so that only we'll get our best results. So Scala really helps us to do that. Scala, by writing our Scala code, it actually Scala makes our PC to use all its 8 cores inside it, so that we'll get the best result. So that's what this point says. Like living a life with an octa-core machine, we need to write the code such that our PC uses all the available cores, and Scala helps us for using all the cores. I hope you get my point. And later on, prerequisites. What is the prerequisites before learning Scala? That is, one should have a basic knowledge on Java before learning Scala, because I can say that Java means Scala is an extended version of Java. Okay, like the syntax in Java language is similar to the syntax in Scala language. Like if you know write a code in Java language, you will be able to write your code easily in Scala language also. And mostly, if you don't know about Java language, like if you are an expert in learning about, if you are expert in writing the code in C language and Python language, at least then you will be able to understand the concepts in Scala language, but not writing the code, because writing the code, that syntax is much similar to the Java language, but not of Python and C languages. Both C and Python languages will help you to understand the concepts from in Scala language. This is all about Scala language. And next one is why we need to learn Scala language. What is the reason for learning Scala language? As I already told you before, Scala is an extended version of Java. Then why we need to learn it? Learning Java is enough, right? Then why we need to learn Scala? This is because, for this, let me tell you a small story that we all know Twitter, right? It is very popular social media platform. So at the initial stages of Twitter, the developers of Twitter actually used Ruby language for its backend. But later on, when the company started growing, the developers were unable to handle the backend by using the Ruby language. That's when they actually thought to shift from Ruby to Scala language, and now the entire backend of the Twitter platform was in Scala. This is because the Scala had that more facilities that really helps the developers to manage their code and all. And before not just learning Scala, but before learning any other languages, any other programming languages, you should think about this. That is, a language that does not change the way that you think is not worth learning. Why I'm saying this is because, um, if you're learning C language, for example, you learn C language. I'm sorry for this. Yeah, yeah. Till now, I think like you learned C language, and later on now you are learning Python language. Unknowingly, the way you think in expert in executing your code will change. Like for example, if you take the simple example, like a program for printing date and time in Scala in C language, and then a program to print date and time in Python language. For this both, like in C language, you have to struggle really hard for printing date and time. This is because there is no predefined functions and all. But in Python, there is actually a predefined function for printing date and time, so that the code will be very much simplified. And that's how the way your thinking is changing, right? In the same way, whatever programming language you are learning, please think that please check yourself whether the way that you think is changing or not. If it is not changing, just leave that language, guys. There is no need of learning this language. So Scala is a combination. I'm sorry. So as you can see, the Scala is a combination of both object-oriented and functional programming in one cousin, and it is a high-level language. Scala is a high-level language, and it is also a combination of both object-oriented and functional programming languages. So it actually helps us in web development. And next one is advantages and disadvantages of Scala language. So advantages. What are the advantages of Scala language? Advantages are like a program written in Scala needs less code when compared to any other language, as I told you before. And later on, it is easy to handle and simple to use. As it is a combination of both object-oriented programming language and high-level programming language, it will be the best for web development. We already discussed this before. And later on, it is easy to pick up, scalability in it, great for data analytics, highly functional, and mainly this one that Scala runs on Java Virtual Machine (JVM), so it helps us detecting the code, detecting the error very easily. And later on, these are the disadvantages. Like we have very limited disadvantages for Scala language. Some of them like as I told you before that Scala language is an extended version of Java language. So unknowingly, like you think that you're going in a way of Scala language, you're writing the code for Scala, you're writing a particular code in Scala language, and unknowingly you will be slided towards the Java language. This is because both the syntax are same, and some of the there are more similarities between Java and Scala language. So unknowingly you will slide towards Java language. This is not the functional way of thinking for Scala language. So that is the main disadvantage for this. And later on, these are the remaining advantages. Like Scala has limited developer pool, so that the Java developer pool will jump into the Scala developer pool. And later on, since it runs on Java Virtual Machine, it has two-tailed recursive optimizations. And with Scala, one can easily switch on to the Java language as it is an extended version of Java, so it does not force you to think functionally. It does not force you to think in a Scala manner. And later on, Scala is free. This is very important, guys. That this actually tells you that Scala is almost 10 times faster than that of Python language. This is because Python language, the code that we are writing in Python language is very dynamic, and for the compiler it will be hard to understand. For developers it is easy to write, but for compiler it is hard to understand. So it takes time to decode what the code that we have written, and later on it understands, and then it compiles, and then it shows our output. But for Scala language, the code that we are writing is not dynamic, so it reduces the speed, and we'll get our output in a fast manner. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of Scala language. Now let's learn about pattern matching. So this is about pattern matching. So what is pattern matching? Before I explain to you what is pattern matching, let me explain the pattern matching with an example. Like as you can see here, yeah. So this is an example that I have written here. That string saying coding and key saying din. That what do I have to do with these two? That is, I have to write a code such that I have to write the code such that whether the key value, that is what I've written din, is present in the string value or not. That is string encoding, whether this din is present in coding word or not. We have to check that. If it is present there, we have to write the output should be yes, and if it is not, we have to print the output. Like the computer has to print the output saying no. Okay, so this is about pattern matching, and let me explain with this. So this is a way of checking the given sequence of tokens for the presence of given pattern. It is most widely used feature in Scala, and it is a technique used for checking the value against the pattern. This is the example that I have written here, and for this the output should be either yes or no. If the given key is present, then it should print yes or else no. And we can also insert some conditions into place of yes and no and all. So for this, first let us check the code. um, yes, here is my Scala code available. Like as you can see here, um, just see these two lines. These are the mandatory lines in Scala language. Like I have created a object saying hello world, and this is the main function. And later on, I'm sorry. Yeah. And here, as you can see this is the println statement. What is this println statement? Here inside the println statement, as you can observe, there is test of 0. This test is nothing but the function that is present here, and later on this 0 is the value that I am pushing for the x variable. Okay, so this by in from this statement, from the println statement, this test method, this test function will be, from this test it will come to here, and this inside with the 0 value, it will the x will take the value of the 0. So and if you come here, the match, this is the match is a keyword which is actually helps us to match with the key value and the string. Okay, so if you can see, like here I passed the value 0, and here it is like it is having 0. Okay, so as the both key and string got matched, here it will print welcome to my pattern matching explanation, and that's the code, that's the output you can see here. Okay, and later on for one, like if I've taken this and if I've written one, and if I compare this, then it will show the output saying, do you know Java? Okay, and later on, what is this? This is the underscore. What is this underscore? So if I've given any value other than 0 or 1, like for example some 5, 6 and all, then it will print all the best for your learning. Okay, let me check this. So for example, if I'm giving here value saying 6, executing this, please wait for some, yeah, it got it. So the output is all the best for your learning, which is actually this. Okay, this is about this. And now, as I told you before, like uh, instead of giving like here I've given an integer value, right? I've given a number, but I can also give one string here. So how to give that? For this, oh, this is the code. Like this is all the same. And later on, here I am giving the string. Like in any other programming languages, we know, right? Like for string, the quotes are compulsory, either it is single quote or double quote, but the quotes are compulsory. So it's applicable. It is applied here also. So yeah, you can see this, like here for key value also I'm giving the codes, and here for case 1, like you can see the codes I've given here, and later on for this also I've given the code. If I run this, I'll get the output saying hello world, and if I say something and if I pass the value something like Pravalika and all, then I'll get the value saying good luck. Okay, let me try this. Let me comment this. Okay, so let me try this. It's executing, guys. 1 minute. It will show you the output. See, as the Z1 here got matched with this, it prints hello world. Okay. Now let me give something saying some PPPP, which is actually does not match with any of the case. So let me run this. See here, as it does not match with any of the thing, it shows good luck.